It's a way of the Mr. Quickie, oh yeah. In one of his recent videos here on YouTube, which I'll link to below, my dear friend Aron made a great point which he didn't really elaborate on. I think he does that every now and then, knowing that I'll be watching and thus giving me something to yap about here on my own channel. It's very generous, so thank you, my friend. Here's the comment.
Yeah, I know. God's ways are not our ways. But that excuse would only work if God's ways were better than our ways, which they're not.
This is such a great and obvious point that I'm embarrassed I never thought of it before I heard Aron say it. It's like the Boston Red Sox saying to the New York Yankees, "Hey, our ways are not your ways. You like winning. We like decades of loss and heartache." My apologies, my sincerest apologies to Boston fans. Go Sox! Seriously, Volk. It's difficult to even come up with an instance where God allegedly said something that might have sounded wrong to the vast majority of people at that time, but now in hindsight seems transcendent and nothing but net. And when you can think of such an instance, Christians, or at least evangelicals, largely reject those ideas today. Love thy neighbor, turn the other cheek, don't judge, care for the poor, don't mess with children. I'm looking at you, Father Penetration. There are so many instances where God could have revealed his transcendence and shown us in a good way how his ways are not our ways. As a benign example, God could have told Moses, "No, that thing you see in the night sky is not another source of light, as it appears to be. It's simply another body in space orbiting the Earth and reflecting the light of the sun," which is just another star, by the way. Slavery would be a more impactful example of God using his transcendence in a good way. Everyone was doing it back in the Bronze Age. It was very popular. It made life better if you were the owner of another person. And apparently no one thought of it as morally outrageous. God could have forbidden slavery outright, rather than allowing it and setting up the rules of how it should be done. I'm sure the Israelites would have been very unhappy about it. I'm sure they would have complained. That's what they did. To which God could and should have responded, "My ways are not your ways," and then made everyone who disagreed with him melt, like he did in Raiders of the Lost Ark. At the same time, back when Moses was figuratively up on Mount Sinai receiving the law, everyone thought that women were of less value than men. So much so that God allegedly told Moses that it was okay for fathers to sell their daughters into the aforementioned slavery. This could have been another instance where God used his transcendence to teach the equal value of all sexes and genders. I'm sure that would have been controversial and outraged many of the men at that time. But that's when God could and should have responded, "My ways are not your ways," sending a lightning bolt into all the misogynist pigs who objected, to clarify his point. Instead, we have modern-day apologists telling us that God's ways are not our ways to justify genocide, slavery, the murder of homosexuals and non-virgin girls, or to get God off the hook for creating this mess, filled with, how did Prager put it?
This life is filled with an immeasurable amount of injustice and suffering.
What a missed opportunity, right? So disappointing. And worse, it makes it look like the people at that time were simply substituting their own customs and ignorant thinking for the will of God. Such a bad choice on God's part. Imagine how much better our world would be today if only God had used his transcendent, omniscient powers for good rather than evil. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching.